The sun glinted off the polished marble floors of the Grand Lux Hotel, a beacon of opulence nestled in the heart of the city. Guests arrived in sleek black cars, their laughter and conversation echoing through the grand lobby adorned with crystal chandeliers that sparkled like stars in a clear night sky. The air was infused with the scent of fresh flowers, meticulously arranged by the hotel's floral designer, further enhancing the luxurious ambience. As guests reveled in their lavish surroundings, the dedicated staff moved swiftly behind the scenes, their presence often unnoticed. Among them was Maria, a Filipina cleaner whose tireless efforts ensured that every corner of the hotel gleamed. Dressed in her crisp uniform, she navigated through the bustling hallways with grace, her head held high despite the weight of her responsibilities. To the guests, she was just another invisible cog in the grand machine of luxury, a figure rarely acknowledged amid the splendor of their surroundings. The opulence of the Grand Lux contrasted sharply with Maria's reality. Each day, she woke before dawn to prepare for her shift, leaving behind a modest home where her family relied on her income. Though she possessed skills far beyond cleaning, having once led troops as a military general, her current role was a stark departure from her past. The hotel's management had no knowledge of her extensive background. To them, she was merely a cleaner, a position they deemed insignificant. As Maria diligently worked to maintain the hotel's pristine image, she observed the interactions between guests and staff. Smiling faces greeted patrons at every turn, while whispers circulated about exclusive events and celebrity sightings. Yet behind those smiles lay a hierarchy that dictated worth, one where those who served were often treated as less than human. On this particular day, as Maria pushed her cart filled with cleaning supplies down a lavish corridor lined with expensive artworks, she overheard snippets of conversation from well-dressed guests discussing their plans for extravagant dinners and lavish parties. Their laughter seemed to echo in stark contrast to her own silent world, a world where her contributions went unnoticed. In this setting of grandeur and privilege, the hotel manager, Mr. Thompson, strode confidently through the lobby with an air of superiority. He wore an impeccable suit that spoke volumes about his position within this luxurious establishment. With a keen eye for detail and an unyielding belief in his authority, he overlooked the hard work of those who kept the hotel running smoothly. Little did he know that today would unfold differently than expected. As he approached Maria to issue one of his routine directives, he would unwittingly set off a chain of events that would illuminate not only his arrogance but also Maria's hidden strength and resilience. In a place where status ruled supreme, and appearances held significant sway, Maria stood ready to challenge perceptions. The opulence surrounding them would soon serve as a backdrop for an unexpected revelation that would shift everything, the luxurious facade masking untold stories and lives waiting to be recognized for their true worth. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting a warm glow through the expansive windows of the Grand Lux Hotel, two characters emerged within this world of luxury, each representing vastly different walks of life. Mr. Thompson, the hotel manager, epitomized arrogance and entitlement. With a perfectly tailored suit that seemed to radiate authority, he strode confidently through the lobby, his presence demanding attention. A self-proclaimed perfectionist, he prided himself on running a tight ship, often overlooking the human aspect of his staff's dedication. To him, employees were merely tools to maintain the hotel's facade of excellence, their struggles and stories were inconsequential. His dismissive attitude was well known among the staff, who often whispered about his sharp tongue and quick temper. In meetings with upper management, Thompson showcased his keen business acumen and flair for marketing. However, when it came to interpersonal skills, he fell short. He saw himself as an elite figure within the hotel industry, and any hint of vulnerability or humility was viewed as weakness. This arrogance would be put to the test as he interacted with those he deemed beneath him. On the other side of this opulent establishment was Maria, a Filipina cleaner whose strength and resilience lay hidden beneath her humble uniform. Each day, she donned her attire with pride, knowing that her work played a vital role in maintaining the hotel's reputation. Unlike Mr. Thompson, Maria understood the value of every individual in the hotel. She had witnessed firsthand how each person contributed to creating an unforgettable experience for guests. Although she carried herself with quiet dignity, Maria's past was anything but ordinary. Once a military general respected by her peers for her strategic mind and leadership skills, she had made sacrifices for her country that few could comprehend. Leaving behind a life filled with discipline and honor had been a difficult choice, yet family obligations had led her to seek work abroad to support her loved ones back home. Beneath her exterior lay a fierce spirit molded by years of training in challenging environments. Unbeknownst to Mr. Thompson and most of the hotel staff, Maria's experiences equipped her with an unshakable resolve and an understanding of human dignity that transcended social hierarchies. She had learned long ago that appearances could be deceiving. Strength often resided in those who seemed inconspicuous. As Maria went about her daily tasks, dusting ornate fixtures and vacuuming plush carpets, she maintained an air of composure that belied her inner turmoil. The gulf between her true identity and her current role weighed heavily on her shoulders, yet she never allowed it to show. Her heart swelled with pride for the work she did, even if others overlooked it. The stage was set for their paths to cross in an unforeseen manner. Mr. Thompson's arrogance would soon clash with Maria's quiet strength, leading to an encounter that would unravel their perceptions of one another and challenge the very foundations of their existence within the opulent walls of the Grand Lux Hotel. As they prepared to meet, one unaware of the depth behind the cleaner's facade and the other oblivious to a past that could change everything, their lives were on the brink of transformation. The morning rush at the Grand Lux Hotel was in full swing, with guests flitting about the lobby, their laughter mingling with the soft strains of classical music playing in the background. Maria was diligently pushing her cleaning cart down an opulent corridor, her mind focused on ensuring that every detail was perfect for the guests who would soon descend upon the lavish dining area for breakfast. Just as she rounded a corner, she collided with Mr. Thompson, who was striding purposefully toward the front desk. His brows furrowed as he caught sight of her, an expression of irritation flickering across his face. He paused, surveying the scene before him, and took a deep breath, preparing to unleash his frustrations. "Do you have any idea how busy it is right now?" he began, his tone dripping with condescension. "This hotel doesn't clean itself, you know." Maria's heart raced at his sudden approach. She recognized his tone all too well, one that belittled her efforts and dismissed her contributions. However, she steadied herself and offered an apologetic smile. "I'm just trying to keep everything in order for our guests," she replied softly. Thompson's eyes narrowed as he continued, "It's not enough to simply keep things in order. I expect you to make this place shine. Look at those floors, they're still dull. Are you even paying attention to your work?" His voice rose slightly, drawing the attention of a few nearby guests who exchanged glances, some raising their eyebrows at the display. Maria felt heat rise in her cheeks but reminded herself to remain calm. She understood that his outburst stemmed from his own insecurities and the relentless pressure he faced from above. "I'll make sure to do a more thorough job," she replied, keeping her voice steady as she fought against the embarrassment creeping into her chest. "See that you do," Thompson snapped back, waving a dismissive hand as if swatting away a bothersome fly. "We can't afford any slip-ups today, not with the high-profile guests checking in." He turned sharply on his heel and strode away, leaving Maria standing there, feeling small and invisible amidst the grandeur surrounding her. As she resumed her work, Maria couldn't shake off the sting of Thompson's words. His arrogance had been palpable, and it echoed in her mind like a taunting refrain. She watched as he moved through the lobby, barking orders at other staff members with a similar disregard for their dignity. Each interaction seemed to reinforce his belief that he was above everyone else, each cleaner and server merely an extension of his command. But beneath Maria's exterior lay a reservoir of strength forged through years of service and sacrifice. As she polished a brass railing that gleamed under the hotel's elegant lighting, she thought about her past, about leading troops into challenging situations and earning respect through hard work and courage. In that moment, she made a silent vow: she would not let Thompson's condescension define her worth. The incident had ignited something within Maria, a flicker of determination mixed with indignation. As she continued her work that day, she couldn't help but wonder how long it would take before their worlds collided again. Little did she know that this initial encounter would set off a chain of events leading to profound revelations for both herself and Mr. Thompson, a reckoning that would challenge preconceived notions and demand respect in ways they had never anticipated. Maria's life story was one woven with threads of resilience, sacrifice, and undeniable strength, a tapestry far more intricate than the simple role she played as a cleaner at the Grand Lux Hotel. As she continued her daily tasks, moments from her past flickered through her mind, reminding her of the woman she truly was beneath the surface. Born and raised in a small town in the Philippines, Maria had always been driven by a deep sense of duty and purpose. From a young age, she exhibited leadership qualities that set her apart. She was the eldest of 4 siblings and often found herself stepping into caretaker roles, helping her parents manage their modest household. It was this environment that instilled in her a sense of responsibility and a desire to uplift those around her. After completing high school, Maria made the bold decision to join the military. It was a path rarely taken by women in her community, but she felt called to serve her country. Her years in the armed forces transformed her. She underwent rigorous training that challenged her physically and mentally. Through sheer determination and hard work, she rose through the ranks to become a respected general, leading troops with integrity and courage. Maria thrived on discipline and camaraderie within the military. She was known for her strategic mind and ability to inspire those under her command, earning respect from both her peers and subordinates alike. In times of crisis, she demonstrated an unwavering ability to remain calm under pressure, qualities that would later serve her well in any situation. However, as political unrest grew in her homeland, Maria faced difficult choices. The safety of her family weighed heavily on her shoulders, compelling her to make sacrifices that would change the course of her life. With a heavy heart, she decided to leave behind the life she had built in service of her country for an opportunity abroad, a chance to provide for her family in a way that military service could not. When she arrived at the Grand Lux Hotel, Maria hoped to find work that would support her loved ones back home. Yet, the reality of being a cleaner starkly contrasted with the identity she had once held as a leader and protector. The very skills that had earned her accolades in the military now felt trivialized in a world where status often eclipsed substance. Despite this dissonance between her past and present, Maria remained committed to doing her job with excellence. Each day, as she meticulously cleaned guest rooms and polished fixtures, she drew strength from memories of camaraderie with fellow soldiers and the pride of having served on behalf of those who could not defend themselves. Her heart swelled with love for her family, an unyielding motivation that pushed her forward, even when faced with condescension from others. In conversations with fellow staff members, Maria occasionally shared snippets of her life before arriving at the hotel, stories about military drills or leadership challenges, but most dismissed them as fanciful tales. To them, she was simply the cleaner, an identity defined by menial tasks rather than monumental achievements. Yet within Maria lay a fierce spirit forged by experiences far beyond what Mr. Thompson could fathom. As she continued to navigate through both menial duties and moments of belittlement, she held tight to the truth of who she was, not just a cleaner but a warrior who had sacrificed much for those she loved. The juxtaposition between her past glory and present circumstances created an inner fire that would soon ignite a transformation, one that would challenge perceptions and ultimately reveal the profound depth of character hidden behind an unassuming facade. As the day unfolded at the Grand Lux Hotel, the tension between Mr. Thompson and Maria began to escalate, fueled by the manager's growing impatience and arrogance. With a bustling crowd of guests filling the lobby for an exclusive event, Thompson felt the pressure mounting to maintain the hotel's impeccable reputation. Unfortunately, his frustrations would soon find an outlet in Maria. The afternoon brought a high-profile celebrity event, drawing attention from local media and fans alike. Guests mingled in the lavish ballroom adorned with floral arrangements and shimmering chandeliers, while staff hurried to ensure everything was perfect. It was in this charged atmosphere that Thompson's condescension toward Maria took on a more public and humiliating form. As Maria made her way down the corridor, pushing her cart filled with cleaning supplies, she noticed a few guests laughing nearby. She smiled politely, intent on doing her job without causing disruption. However, Thompson spotted her from across the room and saw an opportunity to assert his authority. Striding over with purpose, he raised his voice just enough for those around him to hear. "Maria," he called out sharply, his tone dripping with disdain. "Do you realize that your cart is blocking the entrance? This is a luxury hotel, not some back alley establishment. You should be more mindful of your surroundings." Maria's cheeks flushed as several heads turned in her direction. She quickly stepped aside, trying to maintain her composure despite the sting of embarrassment. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to block anything," she replied softly, hoping to defuse the situation. But Thompson wasn't finished. "It's not just about you. Your inability to keep things organized reflects poorly on all of us. If you can't handle such a simple task, perhaps you shouldn't be here at all," he continued, his voice rising with each word. Murmurs rippled through the gathered guests and staff alike, some exchanging incredulous looks at his blatant disregard for Maria's dignity. Maria felt a wave of humiliation wash over her as she held her head high despite the situation. The whispers grew louder. Some guests nodded in agreement with Thompson's criticism while others looked on in shock at his behavior. This was not merely a reprimand, it was an attempt to belittle her in front of everyone present. Emboldened by the audience, Thompson pressed on. "You need to understand that we are striving for excellence here. I expect every member of this staff to perform at their best, especially during events like this one." His words hung heavily in the air as he gestured dismissively toward her cart. As he turned away, satisfied with himself for asserting dominance in front of witnesses, Maria stood frozen, grappling with a mix of anger and indignation. It was one thing for him to insult her privately, it was another entirely to do so publicly before guests who had no idea of her past or capabilities. The power dynamics were starkly clear. Thompson wielded authority like a weapon while Maria bore the brunt of his arrogance. Each cutting remark he made felt like another layer being added to a weight she carried silently, a weight that reminded her of both her current circumstances and the strength she possessed beneath it all. In that moment of humiliation, however, something within Maria began to shift. The insults hurled at her were not just about cleaning carts or hotel standards, they were an affront to her very identity. With each passing second, she steeled herself against Thompson's tyranny, not only for herself but also for countless others who had been marginalized or belittled because of their roles. As guests continued to mingle and take photos with celebrities nearby, Maria resolved that this would not be how her story ended. One day soon, she would reclaim her dignity and make it known that true worth could never be defined by one's title or occupation. In the aftermath of Thompson's public humiliation, Maria felt as though the weight of the world rested upon her shoulders. Guests continued to mill about, their laughter and chatter a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within her. Yet amid the chaos, she found an unexpected source of strength. Rather than allowing Thompson's words to crush her spirit, Maria took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand. As she resumed her cleaning duties, she moved through the hotel with unyielding determination. Her heart raced, but she channeled that energy into her work, ensuring that every corner of the ballroom was immaculate. She polished surfaces with precision and moved with deliberate grace, reminding herself that her worth was not defined by Thompson's scornful remarks or the perceptions of those around her. With each swipe of her cloth against the gleaming marble, Maria recalled her time in the military, the drills that had tested her limits, the moments when she had faced insurmountable odds alongside fellow soldiers. Those experiences had taught her resilience, they had instilled in her a sense of purpose that transcended any single job title. The pride she felt in serving her country and protecting others lived on within her, a flickering flame that refused to be extinguished. As guests took selfies and chatted amongst themselves, Maria noticed a small group gathered near the entrance, their attention drawn to an ornate display of awards and accolades displayed on a velvet-lined table. Among them was a framed photograph depicting a distinguished military ceremony, an image featuring none other than Maria herself in full uniform, standing tall and proud beside fellow officers. The contrast between that moment of honor and her current role could not have been more striking. Curiosity sparked among the guests as they began to discuss the image. "Who is she?" one woman asked, pointing at the photograph. "She looks incredible." Another chimed in, "I wish I knew someone like that, a real leader." Maria's heart swelled at their admiration, but she quickly stifled it. She couldn't afford to dwell on memories of who she had once been, doing so would only deepen the rift between her present circumstances and past identity. Instead, she turned away from the display and continued cleaning, determined not to let nostalgia distract her from the job at hand. It was then that a small child wandered over to her, eyes wide with curiosity as he watched Maria work with such diligence. "Why are you cleaning?" he asked innocently. "You should be out there having fun like everyone else." Maria knelt down to meet his gaze, recognizing the purity in his question. "Sometimes," she replied gently, "helping others is the most important job we can do." The child nodded thoughtfully before scampering back to his family. For a fleeting moment, Maria felt a swell of pride in what she did. Cleaning may seem menial to some, but it was essential in creating an atmosphere where others could enjoy themselves. And in that realization lay a profound truth: while Thompson may have tried to belittle her work and identity, he could never diminish the essence of who she truly was. As evening approached and guests began to settle into their tables for dinner, Maria steeled herself for what lay ahead. She sensed that change was brewing, not just within herself but within the very fabric of the hotel. The time would soon come when she would reveal her true identity, when Thompson's arrogance would meet its match against the strength born from years of sacrifice and service. In that pivotal moment of composure amidst chaos, Maria vowed to reclaim her story, not just as a cleaner but as a warrior whose journey was far from over. Each step forward would lead her closer to unveiling a truth that would forever alter perceptions and challenge those who underestimated the power of resilience hidden beneath a humble exterior. The evening wore on at the Grand Lux Hotel, with the atmosphere buzzing as guests enjoyed their meals and mingled among one another. The glimmer of chandeliers cast a warm glow over the ballroom, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. Maria, still steadfast in her duties, moved quietly among the tables, ensuring that every guest was satisfied while keeping her head held high. As dinner progressed, Thompson continued to circulate through the room, his demeanor still arrogant and dismissive. He relished the attention from influential guests and reveled in his authority, believing himself to be untouchable. However, unbeknownst to him, a storm was brewing within Maria, a storm that would soon change everything. The pivotal moment came when a sudden commotion erupted near the entrance. A group of guests had gathered around the photograph display that had previously caught Maria's eye earlier in the day. They were now deeply engrossed in conversation about the framed image of her in military attire. Whispers of admiration floated through the air. "Who is she? She looks so strong. I wish I could be like that." Maria felt a mix of emotions as she observed the scene from a distance. The curiosity sparked among guests was igniting something within her, a realization that perhaps it was time to reclaim her narrative. With her heart pounding, she made her way toward the gathering, determination guiding her steps. As she approached, Thompson stood nearby, attempting to impress a group of influential guests with grand tales of his management prowess. When he caught sight of Maria moving in their direction, a flicker of annoyance crossed his face. He assumed she was about to make another mistake. But this time was different. As Maria reached the group surrounding the photograph, she cleared her throat softly and addressed them directly. "This photo," she began, capturing everyone's attention, including Thompson's incredulous stare. "That's me during my time as a general in the military back in the Philippines." The room fell silent as shock registered on faces around her. Thompson's expression darkened. He couldn't fathom that the woman he had belittled so openly had once held a position of such significance. "I dedicated years of my life serving my country," Maria continued with newfound confidence. "Leading troops and making sacrifices for those who needed protection." Her voice grew steadier with each word as she looked directly at Thompson. "I've faced challenges that tested my resolve far beyond what you can imagine." Guests exchanged glances, clearly taken aback by this revelation. The dynamic shifted palpably, whispers of disbelief transformed into murmurs of respect and intrigue. Maria's strength became evident as she recounted tales of bravery and leadership, how she had navigated complex situations and emerged victorious alongside her soldiers. Thompson stood frozen for a moment, unable to comprehend how his perception of Maria had been shattered so dramatically. The arrogance he had wielded moments ago now felt misplaced as he recognized that he had underestimated not only her past but also the power that came from it. As Maria spoke with conviction about her experiences and sacrifices, an air of reverence filled the room. Guests leaned in closer, captivated by her story and compelled to listen to someone they had previously dismissed without a second thought. In that transformative moment, power dynamics shifted dramatically. The hotel manager who once belittled her now found himself on uncertain ground as admiration for Maria began to swell among those present. She was no longer just the cleaner, but a symbol of resilience and strength, a reminder that identities are often layered and complex. As applause erupted from some guests while others nodded approvingly, Maria felt a sense of liberation wash over her. She had reclaimed not only her story but also her dignity in front of those who had doubted her worth for too long. With one revelation, she turned the tides, not just for herself but for all those whose contributions went unnoticed and unappreciated. In doing so, she laid bare not just who she was but what true strength looked like in its most authentic form. The revelation of Maria's past sent ripples through the Grand Lux Hotel, igniting conversations that extended far beyond the ballroom. Guests who had once overlooked the value of service workers now found themselves reflecting on their own perceptions and biases. In the wake of her courageous disclosure, a profound theme emerged, one that centered on respect and dignity for all individuals, regardless of their roles. As applause echoed in the room, Maria stood tall, no longer just a cleaner but a symbol of resilience and strength. Her story resonated with many, prompting guests to reconsider the assumptions they held about those who served them. The incident forced everyone to confront their own attitudes toward service workers, individuals who often work tirelessly behind the scenes to create an enjoyable experience for others. In the days that followed, conversations at the hotel evolved. Guests began to engage with staff members on a more personal level, asking about their stories and experiences rather than merely issuing requests. The once unseen efforts of cleaners, servers, and maintenance workers were brought into focus, shining a light on the hard work that went into maintaining the hotel's reputation. Those who once felt invisible found new opportunities to share their voices and experiences. Thompson, too, was forced to reckon with his own behavior and attitudes. He could no longer dismiss Maria's contributions as trivial or inconsequential. Her revelation had stripped away the veneer of superiority he had wrapped around himself. For the first time, he was confronted not only with his arrogance but also with the realization that true leadership lay in recognizing and valuing every member of a team. Maria's story served as a catalyst for change. It prompted discussions about respect in workplaces everywhere, how it is earned through recognition of effort and dedication rather than through authority alone. As employees shared their experiences openly, the hotel management began implementing training programs aimed at fostering empathy and understanding between staff and management. Respect became a central tenet in re-evaluating workplace culture. It was no longer enough to simply provide excellent service. Now there was an emphasis on creating an environment where everyone felt valued for their contributions. Managers were encouraged to interact with employees regularly, learning their names and acknowledging their hard work. This shift fostered a sense of camaraderie that had previously been absent. The incident also highlighted broader societal issues regarding how service workers are often viewed. Many people fail to recognize that these roles require immense dedication and skill, qualities that deserve acknowledgement and appreciation. Maria's journey underscored the importance of seeing beyond job titles. Every individual has a rich story shaped by experiences that contribute to their identity. In this newfound environment of respect, conversations about equity emerged among staff members. They began to advocate for better working conditions, fair wages, and opportunities for advancement within the hotel's hierarchy. Empowered by Maria's example, individuals felt emboldened to challenge long-standing norms that had kept them silent. As Maria moved through her duties each day, she felt an invigorating sense of purpose permeating the air around her, a reminder that dignity is not contingent upon one's job but is inherent in every individual. The journey she had undertaken was not just about reclaiming her own identity but also about inspiring others to recognize their worth. In this evolving landscape of respect and understanding, Maria's story became a testament to the transformative power of empathy. She illuminated how one person's courage could spark meaningful change, prompting society to reflect on how we treat one another, especially those whose efforts often go unnoticed. And as guests continued to enjoy their stay at the Grand Lux Hotel, they did so with a renewed appreciation for all those who contributed to making it a place of elegance and comfort, one where respect flourished from every corner. In the wake of Maria's powerful revelation, the atmosphere at the Grand Lux Hotel shifted dramatically. The applause that had erupted in the ballroom was not merely a reaction to her story, it marked the beginning of a profound reckoning for Thompson. As the realization of his arrogance settled in, the consequences of his actions began to unravel before him. The immediate fallout came swiftly. Staff members who had previously endured Thompson's condescending attitude began to share their own experiences of mistreatment. Fueled by Maria's courage, they found their voices, recounting instances where they felt belittled or disrespected. The collective weight of these testimonies created an undeniable case against Thompson, painting a picture of a manager who had failed to foster an environment of respect and dignity. In response to the mounting pressure, the hotel's upper management convened to address the situation. Thompson was called into a meeting where he faced scrutiny not only for his treatment of Maria but also for his overall leadership style. The executives discussed potential disciplinary actions, recognizing that his behavior had not only harmed individual employees but had also tarnished the hotel's reputation. As Thompson sat in that conference room, he felt the tide turning against him. The very authority he once wielded with pride was now slipping through his fingers. The realization that he had lost the respect of both staff and guests weighed heavily on him. No longer could he walk through the lobby with an air of superiority. Whispers followed him like shadows, reminding him of his failure. Guests who had once admired Thompson began to question his qualifications as a manager. They spoke among themselves about how someone so dismissive could oversee an establishment known for its luxury and service excellence. Many vowed never to return if such behavior continued unchecked, reinforcing the idea that customers valued not just quality service but also ethical treatment behind the scenes. As days turned into weeks, Thompson found himself increasingly isolated within the hotel. His once loyal staff had turned their backs on him, rallying around Maria and embracing a newfound sense of unity. He watched as employees collaborated more closely, sharing laughter and camaraderie, elements he had stifled with his authoritarian approach. The dynamic that emerged was one where respect flourished among colleagues, leaving Thompson feeling like an outsider in his own domain. Internally, Thompson struggled with feelings of shame and regret. He began to question his leadership style and realized that he had sacrificed genuine connections for superficial authority. The loss of respect from those he deemed beneath him struck deeper than he anticipated. It forced him into a personal reckoning about how he viewed himself and others. With pressure mounting from both staff and guests, hotel management decided to place Thompson on probation pending further evaluation of his conduct. They made it clear that further incidents would result in more severe consequences, setting a precedent for accountability within their ranks. This action sent ripples through the hotel community, a signal that change was coming and that respect would no longer be optional. As Maria continued her work amidst this tumultuous backdrop, she remained unaware of the full extent of Thompson's downfall. However, she felt a shift in energy around her, a palpable sense of empowerment among her colleagues who were finally being seen and heard. In reclaiming her own identity, she sparked a movement toward greater awareness and respect within the workplace. Ultimately, this incident served as a powerful reminder that leadership is not merely about authority, it is about fostering an environment where every individual is valued for their contributions, regardless of their job titles or roles. For Thompson, the journey ahead would require deep self-reflection and growth if he ever hoped to regain respect, not just from others but also from himself. As the dust settled on the whirlwind of events at the Grand Lux Hotel, Maria found herself reflecting on the experience that had reshaped not only her own life but also the culture within the establishment. The applause still echoed in her mind, a reminder of the power that comes from sharing one's truth. But beyond the recognition and newfound respect, it was the lessons learned that resonated most deeply with her. In quiet moments between her tasks, Maria pondered how easily people can overlook the worth of those around them. She had spent years in a role that many deemed insignificant, yet her military background had instilled in her a sense of pride for every job she undertook. Whether leading troops or cleaning guest rooms, her commitment remained unwavering. This experience had illuminated an important truth: no one's contributions are too small, every role is vital in creating a harmonious environment. Maria realized that Thompson's arrogance stemmed from a lack of understanding and empathy. He had failed to see his staff as individuals with their own stories, struggles, and strengths. This incident served as a stark reminder of how humility is essential in leadership. True leaders empower those around them, recognizing that respect is earned through kindness and acknowledgement rather than authority alone. The changes at the hotel were palpable. Employees who once felt invisible now walked with their heads held high, buoyed by a collective spirit of unity and empowerment. Conversations flowed more freely between staff and management, fostering an atmosphere where everyone felt valued and heard. It was as if the air itself had shifted, laden with respect and appreciation for hard work, regardless of job titles. Maria took particular joy in witnessing these transformations firsthand. Guests began to engage with staff members on a personal level, asking about their lives, their families, and their experiences. No longer were they merely servants, they became integral parts of the hotel's story, a narrative enriched by diverse backgrounds and unique contributions. Maria often found herself sharing snippets of her military past with guests who expressed genuine interest. She reveled in how these interactions broke down barriers and fostered connections. As for Thompson, he faced the daunting task of re-evaluating his approach to leadership. The probationary period forced him to confront his biases and reflect on how he could grow into a more compassionate manager. Maria hoped that this journey would lead him to understand that respect is not just a privilege afforded to those in power but a fundamental right for everyone within an organization. Looking ahead, Maria felt a renewed sense of purpose in her work. She understood that her story was part of something much larger, a movement toward fostering dignity for all workers in service industries across the globe. She imagined a world where every individual was seen and appreciated, not just for what they did but for who they were. In closing, Maria's experience served as a powerful testament to the importance of humility and respect in all aspects of life. Every person has a story worth telling, and every role contributes to the greater tapestry of community. As she continued her journey at the Grand Lux Hotel, she carried these lessons close to her heart, a reminder that true strength lies not just in one's position but in recognizing the inherent worth of every individual around us. It was this understanding that would ensure lasting change, not just for herself but for everyone who walked through those doors seeking dignity and acknowledgement in their work.